Good evening, guys. Welcome to LeaderComm. My name is Kenneth Wolverton. I'm your district lay leader, and I'll also be your host for this evening. We hope that you guys are somewhere nice and warm and ready to have a good show. We're pretty excited about tonight's show. We're going to follow the same sort of program that we've had before. We're going to start with some key dates and sort of share those with us. And then our best practice spotlight is Miss Beth Smith from First Richardson UMC, and we're very excited she's here to talk about leadership development. And then for our panel discussion, we've got four extremely bright young delegates that are going to be answering some questions, and I'm not going to introduce them now. I'm going to let them introduce themselves a little bit later. So to kick us off, we're going to begin by talking about some key dates. We had a little bit of snafu earlier this evening in that one of our computers that was going to run all the slideshows decided to stop working. So I'm going to try to work the camera and the slideshow. So just sort of bear with us this evening. So with that, let me go ahead and bring up the key dates, and Annie, y'all can talk about those.
Key dates from around the conference. Don't miss out because you don't know. North Texas Conference Center updates. On November 18th, Missional Outreach will wrap up a four-part study on white fragility. The series prepared leaders to help congregants and stakeholders with constructive conversations regarding race and Christianity. This session is titled, The Word Before the Systems, Ministry in Your Community and the Connection. The study group led by Reverend Andrew Fittpfizer will meet at the Ministry Center or online through Zoom. There's no charge to attend. North Texas Conference Commission on Archives and History is sponsoring the annual workshop for local church historians. This year's theme, Telling the Story of Women of the North Texas Conference. It celebrates the achievements and advancements women have made in the NTC. On November 16th, the commission will feature 5 speakers. Keynote speaker, Reverend Donna Whitehead, Reverend Barbara Markham, Associate Pastors of Lovers Lane UMC, Conference Archivist Francis Long, of First UMC Richardson, Lily Jenkins Walker of St. Louis, of Agape Memorial UMC. Registration deadline is November 13th. All are welcome, especially those who keep and record local church history. For more information, email Bonnie Bridget Kaufman or call 214-707-3469. The Center for Church Development, CCD, offers a free 1-hour webinar every third Tuesday from 11 a.m. to noon via a Zoom conference call. On November 19th, CCD will discuss how to do one-to-ones to develop new contacts. CCD believes relational one-to-one is a single resource that helps leaders in churches stay connected to their community and broaden, beginning or becoming an incarnational congregation is the topic of Missional Engagement Rhythm 2 training on December 7th. Registration ends December 3rd. Developing a personal rule of life and living incarnationally will be the focus of training. At the heart of gospel transformation is harmony in our relationships. We are created in the image of God. And as image bearers, we are designed to be unique filters that allows the world around us to encounter the presence and mission of Jesus through our lives. For more information, email temple@ntcumc.org. Ministry with grant application April 1st, 2020. The CMO staff encourages those who are interested to connect now with ideas for 2020 applications. The CMO is currently accepting application submissions. If you have questions or would like help thinking through your ideas, please email Reverend Andrew Feister at 972-526-5018. Lay Servant Ministries. The North Central District will hold its quarterly Lay Servant meeting on November 16th at Custer Road UMC. Gathering begins at 9:30 a.m., general meeting 10 a.m. to noon. On November 16th and 23rd, the East District will offer 2 classes, Lay Servant Wesleyan Tradition at Tenney Chapel, UNC. Register for the basic training on the Lay Servant Ministries webpage. To register for the advanced course, email Lori Macy. Lay Servant Quarterly Meeting, scheduled for February 15, 2020, will be held at Custer Road, UMC. Gathering is at 9:30 a.m. General meeting will start at 10. In the first quarter of 2020, 3 courses are being offered by the East and North Central Districts. February 22nd and 29th, basic course and call to preach classes will be held at First UMC McKinney in the Hub. To register, email Beth Smith. February 22nd, prepare to teach. A 1 course for accreditation as a teacher of the Lay Servant Ministry courses in the NTC is scheduled. This is the only time prepare to teach will be offered in 2020. Email Susan Anderson for registration information. North Central District updates. On November 17th, the North Central District Charge Conference will be held at Christ UMC Plano. General session will begin at 3 p.m. District training will take place on January 26th. Time and location to be announced. On February 11, 2020, the Laity Leadership Team will host its first quarter LeaderComm webinar. Join us at 7 p.m. Register for these events. Go to North Texas Conference at ntcumc.org.
So Beth, welcome
Thank you.
to LeaderComm. Appreciate your time and being here and everything. Just to begin with, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up at First Richardson.
Sure. Well, my name is Beth Smith, and I have a husband, Kip, and 3 daughters, Alexandra, Mackenzie, and Isabel. And as I was raising my girls, there came a point in time as a stay-at-home mom that I decided, I really feel like I need to go pursue my career again. And so I started off with First Richardson as a conference coordinator for the Large Church Initiative Conference. And Clay brought me into the office and said, in our strategic vision of 2010, we talked about something called leadership development. And we're curious if you might stay on and begin an initiative and help us through this process. And so I went on staff and started developing a process for our laity that we're very excited about. So we're about actually 5 years into our programming with that.
Great. And so help me understand, y'all have a certain name for it, right?
Yes.
It's not just leadership development. Tell me a little bit about how
Correct.
y'all came up with the program and maybe a little bit about the program.
Okay. The brand name is called Leadership First. That is the leadership development brand name at First Richardson. And we initially brought some lay leaders together, a group of 12. We figured it worked for Jesus, and that would be good for us.
That's a good number.
Yes, and so we brought in 12 individuals from throughout the congregation who had steeped in tradition with the church, 30 members and the newer members. And we started talking about where we saw gaps within our ministry areas and opportunities to help provide some sustainability, possibly some training opportunities. And we initially looked at the different ministry areas and determined that there wasn't a whole lot of consistency. And there wasn't another form or opportunity to bring leaders, existing or emerging leaders from the congregation into conversation. And so we knew initially that we wanted to do that. And we developed a process that consists of 5 weeks. It's 3 hours on a Sunday for 5 weeks. So people are committing to 15 hours of time with us. And we have some very specific curriculum that we put in front of them each day. And it has become integral to First Richardson.
Okay.
Leadership First is a movement to provide sustainability, growth, and leverage for the future of FUMCR. We see this as an opportunity to help with continuity for our church, and not only for the benefit of our church, but the benefit of the individuals and the community around us. If we ask the question, if First Richardson were not to exist tomorrow, would we be missed? We want the answer to be an emphatic yes. And so through our leadership development process, as we are equipping Christians to be passionate servant leaders, we are working with them, perhaps bringing information to them that maybe they've heard before, but the difference being from a faith-based perspective. How did Jesus lead? What did that look like? And how can we emulate that in our own lives, whether it be at work, at church? Aspects of this program is that we bring individuals from the age of 15 to the age of, I think our oldest has been 82. And so typically there are about 25 individuals in the classroom sessions, and we hold them twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring. We just finished up class 11.
Wow. So that means you've taken 310 people through this program. Are there any other key dates? Key facts or data that sort of comes to mind when you think about this?
As far as leadership development and leadership first, we don't consider it a prerequisite for leading in any capacity in the church, but we do feel that through leadership first, we have been able to identify people that perhaps we wouldn't have known before. We use a referral system for filling our classes, whether that be through the classes. And so we reach people that perhaps we wouldn't have known before. We're trying to negate the 80-20 rule. We don't want it just to be the same 20% of people doing the work.
Right.
And so what we have been able to do through the last several years what we have been able to identify individuals who, again, are either emerging or existing leaders. And currently we sit with about 103 different positions, ranging from church council positions to standing committee positions. And of those 103, we have 63 individuals who have gone through Leadership First, which is about 61%.
Wow. And so I guess that was one of the questions that I had was, can just anybody take this course? Or
we have, to date, we have had a few individuals identify and say, hey, we're interested.
Okay.
And of course, then we have a conversation and we'll let them come through. But we also are very intentional about the way that we build our classes. So we want to make sure that we have individuals with varying longevity within the church, experience with Methodism, experience with leadership, and ages. So we will intentionally, for instance, if I have 5 individuals who are within the range of 50 to 60 who have said yes, I will not ask another individual within that age range.
Right.
We try and fill it with a wide variety and diversity. And all forms of diversity are included in that. So we typically have male and female, pretty much an even split, and then a diverse population racially, ethnically, and so forth, as much as we can.
Great. And so does this information then go to your nominating committees? Are they?
So I have the good fortune to sit on the nominating committee as well.
Okay.
And so we are able to then know a little bit more about the individuals that are whose names are being presented. We have a wider pool of individuals to draw on, we have found. Again, it's not a prerequisite, but we do have increased the pool of individuals and folks that we perhaps could bring up in that nominations meeting. The key, I think, results that we're seeing from this is with First Richardson being a large congregation, it helps us to make our church feel much smaller. The relationship building is one element that we have had amazing results in really helping folks connect with each other. We have been able to, of course, see faith development in these individuals, and we survey them after each session with some key questions, meaningful, that's valid, as well as that we are tweaking as necessary according to what they desire to have in the class.
You are a pretty large church, so I'm assuming you have multiple worships
Yes.
services, and so I'm assuming you draw from various services as well?
Yes, so we like to have a mix of our traditional worshipers as well as our modern worshipers represented.
Okay. So give us an example maybe of one person that's gone through the program and maybe how has that impacted their life?
It's hard to pick just one. It's really amazing. We always do follow-up conversations with the individuals, and we have a one-on-one conversation at the end. And these are so rewarding because we get to see where the results and the fruits are going to be. And it is, I had an example of an individual that I spoke with just recently, and she came in pretty unknown to us. She is on a Sunday morning, consistent on a Sunday morning, but really kind of stayed narrowly focused in the pocket. And just as we were talking through where she might want to serve, what she might want to do, there are 5 different other opportunities, and she's signed up for 2 of those that we've identified. There are individuals, I remember a woman who was really doubting her leadership abilities, very strong woman, very successful professional, mother, wife. You would think that there was a lot of confidence built in there. And what she indicated to us after going through was that somehow God had worked within her to really instill confidence so that the executive committee or chairperson role that she had on one of our nominations, or in one of our standing committees, she felt equipped then to actually hold that role. And so we never know how God's going to work in that room. It's really amazing to see between the relationships and also outside of the church, a gentleman, I mean, it's for one example, but I couldn't stop.
Okay.
A gentleman took some of the concepts that he felt that he had learned through Leadership First, or maybe just to reiterate it in his own work experience in the corporate world, took them back to his workplace, and then subsequently had people coming to him saying, what is it you're doing? Like, how are you being so successful with your team? And then he was able to share. So we love to hear stories about our curriculum and content and being taken out and applied outside of the church and in everyday lives.
Beth, I can't thank you enough for just joining us and sharing a little bit of, we could probably spend 30 minutes on this, I'm sure, if not hours. But I do want to just say, y'all have something unique. I don't know of many churches that are doing this, and I just think you ought to be really proud of what you've created and everything else. Okay? All right. Well, that's going to end our slide up at this point, but as I said, we had a computer go bad. So what we're going to do is just sort of turn the camera and the microphone off, but don't leave. We're going to move the chairs around and then we'll be right back. So thank you. We'll be right back with you. And we're back. Hey guys. So first of all, I just want to make a couple announcements real quick. So our conference decided to do something very unique in the last annual conference, and that is that we actually decided to elect a number of younger delegates, which is, I don't think we've ever done that in the history of our conference. And we have 4 of them here today joining us, and so I just want to take a moment for each of them to maybe introduce themselves and to talk about sort of where they are now, and maybe a little bit about how they got there. So who wants to kick us off? All right.
She has notes.
So I'm Keri Pryor. I'm a member of St. Luke Community in Dallas, Texas. I currently serve as the Executive Director of NTC On-Site Camping Ministry, and we are partnered with the North Texas Conference, and we go into underserved communities to put on summer camps right there in communities for people. I also am the Co-Social Action Chair for United Methodist Women, and I consult on maternal and child health with United Methodist Women National. And so how I came to UMC, my mom decided to play and be the music director for UMC Church, Jubilee UMC. And we came from Antioch Missionary Baptist, so that's how I came. So no grand transformation story.
I'm Keri Lynn Lucas, and I currently serve on staff at Creekwood United Methodist Church in Allen, Texas. I was previously at Lovers Lane United Methodist Church in Dallas. So I've got to work at 2 very diverse and different churches within our conference. So that's a really exciting thing. I kind of grew up Methodist. My grandfather's life was actually saved by the Methodist Children's Home, which at the time was funded by our connection and no longer is. But he was orphaned upon the discovery that he had polio. And so his parents dropped him off at the only place they thought would take care of him, which was a Methodist Children's Home. So I owe my life to the Methodist connection. And yeah, we grew up going to a Methodist church, was baptized, confirmed, and graduated from the same United Methodist Church my whole life and came to Dallas for college, got to work an internship with our conference, got to work at Lover's Lane, ended up discerning a call to ministry and a call to seminary and a call to ordination. So the Methodist Church saved my life, and it will very soon, hopefully, also have my life. So.
I'm Jesica. My name is Jesica Vittorio. I should have written down notes. Jesica Vittorio. I am not a clergy person. I'm a lay delegate to General Conference. I'm a member at First United Methodist Church Dallas, but I grew up at Grace Avenue in Frisco. So I've been in the North Texas Conference for a little while. I am a lawyer by trade, so I'm sorry for that. But I own a law firm in Dallas. I work with businesses, and then I'm CEO of a technology platform. So I don't get to work with religion every day, unfortunately. Sometimes, well, anyways. Okay, so how did I come to the Methodist Church? Oh, I was born and raised Methodist. I grew up in the North Texas Conference. I was baptized in the Methodist Church in Pennsylvania, and I went to Methodist undergrad. I spent a few years with the Baptist because I went to law school at Baylor.
I'm Shandon Klein, and I am currently the Assistant Director of Welcoming at First UMC Richardson. What brought me to UMC? When I moved down here, I'm originally from South Carolina. I did not grow up Methodist. I grew up Episcopalian, and when I moved down here to Texas, I had been looking for churches, and actually we ran across First Richardson because they were offering 5 o'clock service, and being a full-timer, I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds really good. And I can say that First Richardson was the first time I actually felt something in worship instead of going through the motions, and where I was really engaged to really think about the Bible and why I believe what I believe. And I got to ask those questions. They fit me because my original background is in the sciences. So yeah, it was a wonderful fit for me. And eventually, like, God's funny, and I ended up at First Richardson. My first career was to go towards med school, and ended up getting a job at First Richardson and finding my call to ministry there. And now I am a certified candidate for the North Texas Conference as certified for elder.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much for just sharing your story. I just want to remind everybody, I've got a few questions to get us going, but this is the part of the program that we want to ask you to think about what you would ask them, and go to the chat button, go to moderator, and just type in your question, and then we will ask them and see how they respond. So I guess just to kick us off, what does it mean to you that our conference elected you guys to be delegates? Okay.
Got it.
You're speechless.
Sure. Okay.
So for me, it means the North Texas Conference was crazy enough to finally believe in me. And at the same time, finally heard the cries that we needed younger faces and older faces.
Yes. How do you follow
No, I would agree. I think in the room, I feel a lot of pressure, kind of living in this world of being a layperson and aspiring to be a clergy person one day. When I look around the room of our delegation, I see a lot of giants in the conference. And I see a lot of names and faces, and I look at a lot of careers, both those in and outside of the church, that are just full of seeing so much. We actually have 7 adult delegates that are part of our delegation. We have 5 laity and 2 clergy that are under 35. And so I see in our delegation 7 people under the age of 35. And I think, there's so much to be gained from experience and from wisdom and from age, but also like what we gain from having young people who are passionate and who have ideas and who have valid experiences, even if it's not as much. I think the fact that our delegation is leading the charge in that is something that is really incredible. And thank God they heard the cries.
I agree with what's been said. I think it means that the conference supports its young people, which Having grown up in the Methodist Church or in the North Texas Conference, I knew that the North Texas Conference supported its young people. I've felt that for a long time, but it's been on that. And I said this in the session where they elected delegates, but I think there's so much talk in the church, not focused necessarily on issues as much, but there's so much talk in the church about how do we keep or attract millennials to the church. And the best people to tell you how to attract millennials to the church are millennials. I know, very groundbreaking stuff that I'm sharing here, but it's true. So it's good, I think, not only for us to put a voice in the room, but also for all of the other millennials in the Methodist Church and in the North Texas Conference to know that their perspectives and their voice are being represented, and that the church and the conference does have a place for them.
The first thing that I think of are two words of just being humbled by that experience and just affirmed in the call that I had towards polity baby when I had realized that. I was like, oh my name's up there. It meant so much. And I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I absolutely felt the Holy Spirit in that room when we did our, both when we did our speeches and when we did the votes. This young lady here, when doing the speeches and asking for all of those who are under the age of 35 to stand, who are on site and saying like, hey, if you don't vote for me, at least give one of us a chance. Like, that was so inspiring. It was an amazing thing to have that affirmation from our North Texas Conference that we were voted in.
So let me just throw this question out. I mean, why? Why do you think the North Texas Conference decided to?
I mean,
Worse.
seconded. No, I think that I didn't know, I kind of knew you from school. I didn't know a lot of our young adult delegates until we were in the room for lady session at annual conference. And so there's this like very awkward couple of minutes before voting because you're sitting next to all these people and you're like, I hope you get it. And then in your head, you're like, I hope I get it. I feel called to this, right? And so what was so hard is I was looking at all these perfectly brilliant, capable young people, and I was like, they're only going to pick one of us. Like, how? Because there's no way. I figured it would be, we were going to have a tokenism moment, and they were going to have a token under 35 and call it a checkbox and move on. And what was so moving was that we did not plan it. We did not pre-conspire, but every single young adult lady session in their speech took time out of their 2 minutes to say, if you don't vote for me, please vote for another young adult. And no other subgroup of persons that were nominees did that. And even like Colin Aptles Richter, who submitted his in advance on a video, like, it's not that we all got the bright idea, oh, she did it, so I'm gonna do it. And so I think that, every single young person got up there and nobody bragged, nobody said it has to be me because of this. And I think our conference was really attracted to that humility and to that solidarity and that group think that we had that was not planned, truthfully.
Okay, well said. So I'll just check. Do we have some questions?
We do have one.
Okay, great.
Okay, and this is for anyone.
Okay.
Not knowing what the delegates go through, the preparation more or less of what you anticipated.
Oh, it was exactly what I anticipated, mainly because I did the research beforehand. And I'm sure a lot of us kind of did that of really going to those who had been on delegations beforehand to be like, okay, if I'm going to do this speech, and put my name in the hat, I need to know what I am saying yes to if I were to get elected. And so I can say that it was pretty much exactly what I expected, and I knew that it was gonna be a lot of work going in, and I prepped on my way in. So at least for me, I can say
I was the opposite.
it's all good.
I filled out the application and then I saw our senior pastor in the hall one day and I was like, oh yeah, Andy, by the way, I did this. And he was like, I don't know. I was like, no, it's cool. So yeah, that's, I don't know that I had any expectation. In terms of what has it been like, I think eye-opening from the perspective of, I always think it's important to take into, in any like system, take into account the people, why there are not certain types of people in the room, right? And there's a lot of work to be done for the delegation, and I personally have gotten a lot of really great opportunities for other stuff that's like tangentially related, but it's days off work and it's money, and we have conversations about money all the time on the delegation because the conference doesn't pay for everyone to go. And I think these are things that's important to have a firsthand account of, because when we start having conversations about why are there not young people in the room, or why are we not as diverse as we want, like there are systematic reasons why. So taking those things into account, I think, is really helpful for future use.
I think that's a really good point. The system itself makes it difficult for young people to be a part of.
Yeah, 100.
For
I'm
sure.
sure there are tons of young people that would love to do it. And I-
Interested.
Yeah, the
Yes,
financial aspect.
financial.
I still have nightmares about the finances of it, and
Yeah.
like it's not solved because I'm on the
Yeah.
delegation,
Right.
right? Like it's still causing us anxiety even now, the
Yeah.
finances of it.
Well, and if you're, you know, a young layperson, I'm lucky because I work for myself, but if you're not clergy and you're a layperson, I don't know how you would take the time off. I mean, the conference itself is like 12 days, right? And then you have all these other things. I've been to 2 other conferences. I'm getting ready to go on a 8-day trip. Like, there's a lot of time off that's involved in this, and I'm happy to do it, and I'm lucky and blessed to be able to do it. But I think when you start asking the question about why are certain types of people not in the room, and it goes back to like Beth was talking about, you can't, that 80-20, maybe we need to stop having 20% of people doing things, and then it's less of a time commitment, which I think would be a cool thing.
So let's check, see if we have a question. If not, then I'll pose another question to you guys. There's a lot of negativity within the denomination right now.
Really?
Mostly. Yeah, a little bit.
It's very positive.
You know, lots of conversations about it. We split, we do this, we do that. And I guess what I want, from a younger person's perspective, who loves the United Methodist Church and is going to be a part of it for the remainder of their life, just share with us, what is your hope and dream and vision of, you know, assuming that we get past all of this, what do you see as sort of the church that you would want it to be?
Young adults, but like at least what I hope for is that the United Methodist Church can lead the charge in figuring out how to stay united amongst differing opinions. Because if we can't figure it out as a church and be one body, we can't emulate that in the world. Like, so if we fracture, that just emulates the world that's out there that's already polarized. How are we supposed to give a witness to the world outside of us if we are doing that? So I think it's extremely important for us to figure out how to stay a global denomination. It's honestly why I'm so proud to be United Methodist, that we have this connectionalism, not just in the United States, but across the globe. And that means so much. We are the one denomination that truly, you can see that, and that we would be remiss if we were to dissolve that. Just to say, like, basically keep in our ideological bunkers and not to learn from one another.
I think to add to your point, I find it very interesting that General Conference will be in May of 2020, and we'll have another presidential election in November of 2020. Yeah, it's not a funny joke, it's real life.
Yes.
And so God bless anyone who's trying to plan sermon series for
Oh,
2020,
goodness.
because what do you even think to begin to preach? But one thing that I've been saying since February, and I actually got to go observe General Conference this past year. It's part of what inspired me to run for the delegation. And so I was with a group of friends in the airport after we had just seen kind of what we thought is like watching your parents say they want a divorce at the airport. And I said, okay, write down dreams you have for the church. Write down things that you think are, even if they seem impossiple, like write them down. And my napkin is actually framed and it sits above my bed. And so I see it every morning. And so Grace, yeah, come on. And so like every good movie, like Destruction, somebody's writing an idea on a napkin at the end, right? And so, you know, a couple of the things that I envision for the church is that we stop hurting people with what we perceive to be doctrine. Doctrine was originally in the Methodist Church, it's understood as a spiritual discipline. It's understood the same as prayer. It's understood the same as scriptural interpretation. I don't pray the same way I did when I was 5 because it's a spiritual discipline that moved and shaped and grew with me, and doctrine is the same, right? And my prayer life shouldn't hurt people. My prayer life shouldn't exclude people. And so neither should my doctrine. But another one of the things that I said was that I want the United Methodist to have different groups of people, but in almost every room I sit in, every single person would call themselves a compatibilist. And so what if our denomination was a room full of compatibilists? And I think that the world is watching to see what the United Methodist Church will do next, and we have a really big opportunity to lead the charge on how our nation goes about differences and how our world goes about differences as well.
You want to jump in this?
I guess I have to. So I agree. If the UMC can figure out how to follow the Wesley 3 rules, we might be all right. So that means doing good and providing good to all, not just some of our friends that we like or people we're related to, so all people, all humans. And if we do that well, we will somehow stop doing harm. So we have been doing it. It didn't just start last general conference. It's been going on for a while. And then once you complete those, the last step is a little bit easier. It's not going to be smooth sailing, but staying in love with God will be a lot easier if we can follow the first 2. And so I tell my campers that, so I try to live by that. And so hopefully the UMC can do that. As for 2020 vision, it might not be saying that the UMC needs to split, but some of our harmful traditions need to go.
Okay. All right, well, so that was sort of a deep question. Let's see if we got another one. We have another anymore? All right, so let me get y'all maybe a little bit lighter question since we've been meeting as well for a while. What's been a surprise, if anything? What's sort of been a shock to your surprise or something that you just weren't thinking it would be there? Anything?
Oh, I can tell you. So I can tell you just in the efforts of trying to figure out how we might be able to fundraise for our delegation, just the sheer cost of expenses that is out there is quite staggering. Given, what you may not be aware of, so we not only have general conference and jurisdictional conference that we really, all 23 of us really do need to be there. But we also have pre-conference meetings in Nashville and in Oklahoma City, and those expenses aren't covered from what I understand. And so when you're thinking about 4 conferences, not only it's the time, which time is money for sure, but there's delegates from the lay side and the clergy side, they're covered for general conference and jurisdictional conference. But those who are jurisdictional conference and alternates, they have to pay their whole way to general conference. And we need each person, each 23 to be able to be on each committee so that we know what's going on in each committee, because there's, is it 14 or 13 committees, something like that? In order to stay abreast and be the most, really a team, we all need to be there. And so we really don't want there to be a financial burden on any of us. And so we really hope that we can get fundraising efforts together within the North Texas Conference to help aid our delegates in being able to not just attend one, try and attend all of them. We need to.
Anything else?
I think for me, one of the things that I am discovering, delegation work is hard work, and delegation work, I've made more spreadsheets in the last 3 months and shared them and color coded them, and it's the most. But I think one thing that I'm finding with delegation work is it is holy work. And anybody who thinks otherwise is kidding themselves. I think that especially the 4 of us understand the gravity of the work that we're doing. But I really do, and I think, it's a bummer the clergy missed lady session because the Holy Spirit came in that room.
Gosh, it was so good, and it wasn't taped either.
No.
I wish it was taped.
Gotta spread the word the old-fashioned way.
Ooh, yeah.
And so I think just like getting started on that foot and having that experience together as laity was so pivotal, and the members of our annual conference that ran that, you know, are not joining us in the delegation right now for one reason or another, like their words inspired us and pushed us. And so I think that just, I look forward to our meetings, but I find them to be such holy moments.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
Meetings have developed my patience.
They holy, but they hard.
Holy moments, yes. I'm more of a quick action, let's get to the point. I am developing my waiting skills. So thank you, delegation.
You're welcome. I think the delegation has helped me to have a better understanding of the bureaucracy within the church, which is, to me, as someone who worked in the government, truly annoying and frustrating. And layers of bureaucracy, there's now another step between like the emotion of a decision and the actual on the ground decision being made. And I think when we ask ourselves, how do we get here? That's how we got here. We put a bunch of bureaucracy in the middle of it. And bureaucracy sometimes organizes things and sometimes it takes the humanity out of things. So I think that's been a little eye-opening. There's a lot of committees, man.
A lot.
Yeah, there's a lot.
All right, well, hey, we're getting down sort of the end, so let me just sort of ask one final question. And that is, as you attend the conferences in 2020, whether it's general conference or jurisdictional conference, what is one thing that you hope that we're able to resolve or take a step in the right direction?
I can start. I think, and I'm gonna keep goals small here because incremental progress.
Okay.
But I think if we could, where we were all mindful of the manner and the verbiage that we're using while we're discussing things, so not to scapegoat groups of people for certain decisions that are made or not made, or make a lot of comparisons about, for example, at special conference, I was making a tally of the times that people compared like homosexuality and like alcoholism.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now we're throwing two groups of people under the bus. Like we use a lot of harmful verbiage in the course of our conversation. So if we can at least minimize weaponizing the Bible and using harmful verbiage, even if we still don't agree at the end of the day, I think that would be progress.
Good.
Same page.
Same one?
We didn't even have notes for that.
I want to see that figured out.
God had the notes, so you know God.
I'm Holy Spirit, man.
Anybody else?
I would say I've never experienced general conference or really before. So I really hope to see those in America reaching out to our global friends and our central conferences and sitting down and talking and listening. We don't really have the luxury of sitting next to each other all the time. So I really hope that 10 days, from the 5th to the 15th, that we can actually have those true conversations around a table to be like, hey, I want to understand where you are coming from and truly mean it and take that in. You know, like I'm like, I don't doubt that that's happened in, you know, other conferences and all of that, but I'm hoping to experience that at,
I think for me, you know, just on my personal history with third-party things that are funded by our connection. So like what used to be the Methodist Children's Home, I look at things like UMCOR, and I look at things like other boards and agencies and events. There's a Global Young People's Convocation that I went to that is not on the calendar for the next quadrennium because there might not be money for it because we don't know what's going to happen. UMCOR giving is down, and so I think it's no secret. I'd like to see us take a step towards full inclusion of LGBTQ siblings, but not at the expense of boards and agencies and all of these things that go away in certain models that are put forth in front of us right now. And that's in the fine print of a lot of what those of us that are progressives want, but we're not seeing the harm that will be done through things like UMCOR and through things like our boards and our agencies and our conferences. And so I'd like to find some sort of way in which, we take a step in some form of a direction that way, but where really important stuff that, if you don't know about it, you don't know about it. It doesn't get lost.
All right.
So many dittos, now I'm gonna elaborate.
Come on out there.
Y'all got 4 free sermons.
Yeah.
So, agreements upon 1, 2, 3. And everybody,
Right.
but at the same time, this will be my first general conference over the age of 18. So I've been to general conference before as like a 15, 13-year-old, but my experience was, we're in a room with, hopefully, that's my same experience going into 2020. Yes, there will be some disagreements. I'm not saying everybody's going to agree 100%, but hopefully we can do it as civilized humans.
Yes.
Good.
Well, let me sort of close this up, but I want to say thank you to all of you, not only for being here tonight, but in a situation where a lot of our younger people are just leaving the church because they just can't deal with it anymore. I just want to say thank you for not only staying with the church, but stepping up and trying to take an active role in moving things forward. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that as an older white guy.
Thank you for your support.
So we're going to wrap up tonight. In just a minute, we're going to turn the camera off again. But don't go away because we want to bring a slide up that's got some information for you going forward. And then Don Hamilton's going to lead us in a prayer to put the slide back up. So if you need to take any notes, you can do that at that time. So just sort of hang with us just 1 more minute. Okay, guys, so this is the slide that I was talking about. So once again, we'd love your feedback. We'd love to know what's working for you, what's not working for you. If there's any particular guest or spotlights or panel discussions you would like to have, we would very much like that. Once again, February 11th is going to be our next one of these. And then the last thing we just want to point out is that we created a new YouTube channel. And I know that's a very long address that YouTube puts out there. I believe it's Lady Leadership North Central Texas District, I believe is what it is. But as we get the video recordings back from tonight, then we'll post those out there and let you guys know about that. So with that, I'm going to let Don sort of close us in prayer.
Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, as we conclude this installment of LeaderComm, we thank you for being with us this evening. As we examine how we can be more effective leaders in your church and discover the paths we are called to walk to help it, we ask that you be with us. I pray that each of us can discover the gifts, talents, and calling to help lead your church. As we go forward, we humbly ask for your Spirit to be upon us and with us, as we know that in whatever we are called to do, that we can do all things through your Son who gives us strength. We ask this in the name above all names, your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Don. So once again, we'll leave this up for about the next 5-6 minutes. With that, I appreciate you joining us and try to stay warm. Thank you.